We're changing it up here a little bit on John Trent Racing. I am joined by Davey Callihan, a local late model stock car driver in the Mid Atlantic region. He typically races at Dominion Raceway, but he's been known to travel down to South Boston, race there a number of times at the end of last year. He also has qualified for the crown jewel of late model stock car racing at Martinsville for the past 2 years. So we're really excited to have him join us on the channel and talk about his plans and the state of late model stock car racing here in 2024. So without further ado, let's bring in Davey Callihan. How you doing, sir?
Hey guys, how's it going?
It's going great. So tell me about your plans for 2024. I did see a press release that was pushed out. I saw Matt Weaver covered it on his Short Track Report website. It looks like you are going to be competing for the track championship here at Dominion Raceway in just south of Fredericksburg in Virginia.
Yeah, for sure. We have got a new partner on board at Papa John's. So excited to have them. And they, of course, they're making all this possible for another year for me. So our main goal is going to be to try to lock down a track championship at our home track, Dominion Raceway. So you can probably see me do some more races too. But to get started, that's what our main goal is going to be for this season.
That's awesome. What kind of competition do you expect? I know you finished fourth last year. Peyton Sellers obviously has kind of been the dominant force at Dominion Raceway for the past couple of years. And then before that, it was Philip Morris when he was kind of running for that track championship. And then obviously you had the big heated rivalry between Doug Barnes and Tyler Hughes. But what kind of competition are you seeing? I know we saw Florence kind of had brought about 20 cars, was a really nice field, but Hickory, before that, there was only about 12 cars. And it looks like there's going to be a pretty good showing down at South Boston if they actually get it in. I just saw they delayed the smart race to Sunday, but it looks like there's going to be a bunch of competition there. Are we going to see some really good competition at Dominion as well? What do you expect?
I think so. I would expect, probably opening night for that Dickie Boswell 200. They got a really nice purse. I think it's $7,500 to win. So they got a good purse that usually brings out some of the heavy hitters. So I would expect and hope to see at least 20 cars opening night at Dominion. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. But the bigger field, the better, in my opinion. So let's hope we can get them all down there.
Yeah. So one of the things with at Dominion, it's really high banked. I think it puts on some of the best races in the late model stock. Can you kind of highlight why you like racing at Dominion and why you continue to choose to race at Dominion? Because I know they also have a little bit of a different tire rule. I think they use McCreary's, whereas most tracks use Hoosier. And I want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So first and foremost, Dominion's my home track. So it's in our backyard, and but even along with that, I do love the track. It's real high speed, a lot of like you said, a lot of banking, a lot of grip. So you can really just pretty much hustle the car as hard as you want to most the entire race. So that's what I like about the track is just the speed and the grip level. It makes it a lot of fun to drive. There's no laying back. There's no being lazy, even though some guys prefer that. I prefer kind of just all out, balls out racing is kind of my style. So it fits my style well.
You're saying you didn't like the Hampton Heat that you competed in a couple of years ago, right? Where you had to sit at half throttle for half the race.
Guys, I do, and the tracks, it is a cool racetrack. It's a cool facility. It's not my preferred style of racing, but we got to have all different tracks and surface types and everything to make an entire series work. So everyone, there's guys that'll swear by they love it. So let me look at Brendan Queen and some of these other guys, Connor Hall. These guys have put on clinics there, so I'm sure they probably prefer it. But guy like me, not a whole lot of. I did have some low grip experience at Old Dominion. I had some good nights and I had some bad nights. So it's one of them things. I think once you kind of get accustomed to a certain surface, you probably tend to lean more towards that when you have success on that surface. So that's probably why I tend to lean towards Dominion.
So I said in the intro, you did race a couple races down there at South Boston, and I actually thought they were some of the most exciting races we got to see. I watched obviously on Flow, and you were really one of the few guys I felt like you and Landon Pemberton were really going at it up on the top side, and that was kind of surprising because in previous years that hadn't really come in yet. Are you expecting to maybe go down there and run at South Boston anytime this year and see if that high side is still working?
Uh,
It's like a dirt track out there. Felt like.
so I do love my home track, but South Boston honestly is probably my favorite track to date. I think it's a great racetrack, great facility. Having that top lane and having that bottom lane and even a middle groove there is just, as a driver, it's so much fun to be able to experiment with the car and try them different lanes. It's just, to me, that's it. And it does have a higher grip level at South Boston, not quite as much as Dominion, but it is a higher grip level track. So it's my favorite track. I wish it was a little closer for me, and my sponsors' demographics was more in that area. But for now, we're about 80% sure that I'm going to try to do the Triple Crown. So you could
Oh,
possibly
awesome.
on is it June, the 1st of June, I believe. I haven't looked at the dates, but
It's usually July 4th. It's usually
July.
a July 4th weekend
Yeah.
for South Boston.
So I
Yeah.
think plans are, as long as everything opening at Dominion, goes well and I don't tear a bunch of stuff up, I'm hoping to make my 2024 appearance at South Boston for their, I'm not sure what they're calling it this year, but for their 200 lap event.
Awesome. You're talking about the car there. I know are you still running the same chassis? I know you're running a Creech chassis for, I guess, like the past couple years. Are you still running the same chassis?
So we actually, it is the same center section. I've actually went and had the clips cut off, and it's a Reynolds car now. So Forest Reynolds is actually, I guess it's a hybrid car, but Forest Reynolds is now the the front end, the clip, the suspension, all that good stuff. So I guess we kind of identify as a Forest Reynolds car at this point.
So have you seen, like, I know you've done a couple test runs. Have you noticed any kind of like remarkable improvement between the two chassis?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely big differences. Forrest Reynolds stuff is just, in my opinion, second to none right now. I mean, he runs good anywhere he goes with all his cars. And what he was able to do to my car really brought it to life. We showed a lot of speed at the end of last year. I only ran a handful of races last year with that car, or with the revamped car. So, but everywhere we went, South Boston, we were fast. We almost won at Dominion, the one race we ran there, and Peyton edged us out with, I think, like three or four to go. And then we showed up at Martinsville and was a top 10 in speed for majority of the day there. I'm not sure where we ended, but it was in the top. I think we were 12th overall, but almost top 10 speed at Martinsville. And then we qualified 26th or somewhere in there. So just really good speed at Martinsville. And unfortunately, I got kind of wrapped up in a event where I got spun out and knocked the radiator out of the car. So we made the show, but I hurt the motor and wasn't really able to show what we had.
It was pretty impressive, I think, how you were able to get back in and qualify after that accident.
Well, yeah, and that was just a testament to how good our stuff was. It was way better probably than I was that day. I just made several mistakes. I don't know if it was nerves or what, but I made a mistake on the start and kind of had a late shift and didn't get a really good jump, and then was trying to make up what I lost on the first lap on the start and overdrove the entry of 3 and got tangled up with some guys. So it was my fault. Just made a mistake and we paid the price, but I think we had a top 10 car, in the show, had we had damage and been able to actually show the full potential. So.
You mentioned you finished second there to Peyton at Dominion in that one race last year, and I think the announcer at Dominion, his name escapes me right now, but he was like jokingly calling you a hitman for Peyton, I guess like a couple of years ago. What
Yeah.
is your relationship with Sellers? Because I know you seem to be doing a lot with them at the end of last year and everything. And what does that relationship look like? Is he helping you with the car or
Yes.
with setup or is there anything like that or?
Yeah. Me and the Sellers have, we've been competitors first. And then we grew a pretty tight friendship there. I guess the end of last year, or well, I guess the year before. So what was the year he
20
won?
2022.
Yeah, 2022. We started developing a good friendship there, and they actually asked me to drive uh, their car for them a few times when I was not able to make it to the track in my own car. And me and HC and Peyton just developed a friendship and a relationship there, and it kind of carried over on into this year, and it's opened up a lot of opportunities and just knowledge, I guess. Being around a team of their caliber has helped me as a driver and definitely helped me learn a lot about the car. So they are helping us with setup, and HC is definitely helping this program out a ton.
I know you also have a pretty tight relationship with the Mullins. You actually went down to Daytona and was able to do the Daytona test with them, and I think that's the second time you've done that. And then you've also got to hop in his ARCA car. You were able to run it like Southern National, I think, a couple of years ago, and then last year, I think it was Milwaukee, where you had a run in with Frankie Muniz, where he
Yeah,
chopped you off.
yeah.
um, do you plan on continuing? Like, what are your plans with the Mullins? I know you also were in there like limited late model, although you decided not to go to the tech tent
Yeah.
with that car, I think.
Yeah.
What are your plans with running with them? Any kind of ARCA plans or running a limited late model as well, or are
Um,
they developing a late model program?
They are developing a late model program. They have a car that they're preparing and taking care of for Colin. What's his last name? It's slipping my brain right now. Yeah, they are preparing a car for a driver. Um, as far as the ARCA goes, man, it's just hard to tell. I mean, I would like to think I'll have another shot one day. The Mullins are great friends of mine. We talk daily, so there's always that possibility. But they had some hardship this year with a few things, and this season's going to be a little weird for them. So I think probably won't see me in an ARCA car this year with them, but I'm sure there's a high possibility that could happen in the future.
Okay. I know he was on the pole for the ARCA race at Daytona, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that's pretty cool. And then he had that awesome save, that fantastic save that he
Oh, yeah.
made.
Oh,
And then
yeah.
he got cleaned out, and then he just had nowhere to go and where he got wrecked. I was heartbroken. I was
Yeah,
really rooting for him there.
yeah, yeah. He had some awesome saves. He had some not so good saves, and um, it was a cool event for them. I was really really bummed I wasn't down there with them for the race. I actually got to test that car that he sat on the pole with in the test. Never even drove the car in the test. He was testing the other car, so I knew the pole was a potential after the test, just to see how fast we were. It's hard to tell in the test times at the test just because drafting's puts you on top of the board or whatever. But single car run, we were the fastest guy there. So I knew that he had a shot at the pole when we left there a few weeks prior.
It's awesome. So I do want to kind of talk about the landscape of late model stock car racing in general. I know we talked a little bit about kind of car count there for Dominion, but how do you see the Cars Tour and its role? Obviously, they had a pretty big car count, 34 cars down at Southern National. Had to actually turn 4 cars away, and I think two of the biggest draws in Landon Huffman and Stephen Nasse. And now they released their entry list for All American, and it was down to 23. So, how do you see the car store and how it affects kind of the local tracks like Dominion and South Boston, Langley,
Yeah.
Hickory, etc.?
The Cars Tour it, it's a love hate, I think, with guys, with local guys like us. I think it's great. It's awesome. I love the amount of hype it gets, and it's definitely an awesome series. The downside to it for our local tracks is it is taking, I don't think it takes a lot, but I do, it will draw a guy or two here and there away. And we just, at this point, I don't think we, can afford that in our local racing. So it's unfortunate that we're losing a little bit to them. I think it's a great series, but you got to have money to run that series. And there's a lot of us that don't have the money to run Cars Tour that probably should be running Cars Tour if we had the money. So it's a great series. Just it's professional late model racing.
Yeah, I obviously enjoy it a lot. I will say it kind of grew on me. I think when I first started getting back into late model stock car racing at Dominion, I thought the weekly racing was way better at Dominion
Yeah.
than the Cars Tour was, like back in like the early like 2020s, I guess, like pre-COVID, maybe like 2019. Because I mean, we had Doug Barnes Jr., we had Tyler Hughes, we had Peyton, we had
Yep.
Looney would come up. You were there, Philip Morris. Like we had the best drivers were racing at Dominion.
Yep.
And then the Car Store came in, and I was like, man, this is a snoozer. Like, I'd rather watch the 60 lap
Yeah.
late model. But I do feel like whatever they've done, like they've improved the product like tremendously over the past half decade or so, and it's gotten a lot better. But I did really see it kind of pull from the local tracks, especially towards the end of the year last year. I mean, I think there was one race down there where you're racing at South Boston. You only had 8 guys racing, but it was one of the best races. It was one of the best late model races I'd
Yeah.
seen with just 8 guys, though. I mean, there was
Yeah.
like 3 or 4 races happening on the track, and y'all were all competitive. I mean, you and Landon Pembleton were really like putting on a show down there. I mean, that was a great race.
Yeah. I
But
think that was one of my, that was a lot of fun to race Landon as hard as we did for, oh gosh, it had to be almost the whole, it was 40 some laps, I think, that we were basically a few inches off each other's bumper. So that was a lot of fun to learn that and be able to run with Landon there, because Landon's good there. I mean, Landon's good everywhere, but that's kind of his home track. So, that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, the Cars Tour, we'll see. I'm hoping to do the Cars Tour at Dominion at minimum.
So I know one of the big issues that they had last year, especially at South Boston, I think it was Quaffle, he got like DQ'd from the Virginia Triple Crown race, was that the rule books didn't line up. Have they fixed that, or is it still kind of different?
As far as I know, yes. I was told, again, I don't really know the Cars Tour rules that well because we don't run it that often, but I was told that this shock, I think it was like an internal shock part that was different.
Mhm.
From weekly to Cars Tour, and I do believe that the weekly series has matched their shock rules, as far as I know. Now, I could be wrong, but as far as I'm under the assumption, yes, they're lining the shock rules up. They're still, I mean, I think they're the same, but they're still a little at the same. How do I say it?
There's some like minor differences.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, and then I got a last question for you. We're gonna totally kind of change it up.
All right.
What's like a great memory that you have just racing in late model stocks for the number of years that you have? What is like probably one of your favorite memories?
Um, Probably I would have to say making Martinsville. The year I got punched by Andrew Grady. Uh, that was probably one of the best feelings to get in that race, because I've been racing late models on and off since 2008, and I always watched Martinsville, and it was such a big deal for, and it still is, for so long. It's just the race, and all them years racing, we never even went and attempted it, just because we didn't think we even had near the equipment to even go there and attempt. And then to actually go and make the race was like pretty, I don't know, just pretty humbling to be able to do something that big with such the shoestring budget we have. It was pretty amazing.
How do you look back on all of that with like Grady punching you and everything? Have you talked to him about it or like what?
No, we don't really
No.
talk. Yeah, we haven't talked since the incident. There's been no communication between me and him specifically. I for me it was, listen, it is what it is. Like, I understand why he was mad. In the same token, I I think he should kind of understand where I was at. And again, I didn't get wrecked, so it's easier for me to say that. But um, I still don't think I fully wrecked him. I think it was kind of a combination of a few things. I mean, my dive bomb didn't help, but I didn't put him in the fence. It kind of, I knocked him out of the way, and then it seemed like he wrecked after the fact, and that's just what I seen on the camera. But regardless, it was cool because it did get a lot of publicity. I'm known at work and friends' houses and everything else now for being the guy that got punched on ESPN. So I mean, all that's cool. I mean, it's cool to say, our video went viral, and the Mike Tyson thing, and just so many aspects of that video was, pretty much epic. But yeah, it was a cool ordeal. I mean, I did get the better end of the deal, but you know, it is what it is. It's short track racing, right?
I mean, that's part of why we love it. That's one of the reasons why I love it. I love the drama. I love the drama on the track. I love the drama off the track.
Yeah.
Because it really shows the passion that you guys have for the sport, and you really want to get out there and you want to win. You want to win. You want to beat the other guy. And and you see that. And I love it. Because
I mean,
I feel that way too. I'm not a racer, but
yeah.
I'm hyper competitive. So I love that. I just love the competitive nature of it.
But like, as the driver, in my perspective on that situation, to be put in a position where I've never made a Martinsville race, my car was mediocre at best, and there was a 2-inch window that was either make the show or not make the show. I had to give it a shot. If I didn't, I would have been mad at myself, and I would expect my team to be mad at me for not giving it a shot, win, lose, or draw. So, and then to come out, it was like throwing, like in basketball when they throw it from the other side of the court, like, just to make it. It was like, holy crap, I just did that. So, it was a pretty cool experience.
That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much, Davey, for joining us here at John Trent Racing. I'll definitely be down there at Dominion Raceway this year. Hopefully, looking forward to seeing you out there compete. And then I guess I was saying, I mean, Davey's my guy. Davey's the guy I root for at Dominion Raceway. So I'll definitely be cheering him on and bring my kids along to try and have them join Team Callihan too. So thank you so much for joining us, and
The
we're
Trent
looking
said,
forward to seeing your race.
oh, yeah, it's always good to see you guys at the track.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right, later.